My name is Daniel Rourke, and I should have known something was wrong when my wife Emily started being nice to me. After 18 years of marriage, you learn to read the signs. Emily's sudden interest in my well-being was about as genuine as a $3 bill. She'd been hovering around me for weeks, asking if I felt okay, suggesting I should take it easy now that I'd semi-retired from my civil engineering job at 48. "Danny, honey," she said that cold February morning, sliding a stack of papers across our kitchen table with that smile that could sell ice to Eskimos. "I've been thinking about your safety." I looked up from my coffee, noting how she'd dressed up for a Tuesday morning. Full makeup, the blue dress I used to love, even perfume. Emily worked as a legal assistant downtown, but she usually saved the glamour for court days. "My safety?" I asked, flipping through the documents. Legal jargon swam across the pages like alphabet soup. "What's this about?" "It's just a power of attorney form," she said, her voice honey-sweet. "You know, in case something happens to you. So I can handle things. I've been around construction sites long enough to know when someone's trying to sell me a bridge." Emily had never shown interest in our finances before. Hell, she didn't even know where we kept the insurance papers. "Something like what?" I asked. Her smile flickered for just a second. "Well, you're getting older, and with your blood pressure—" "My blood pressure's fine. Danny, please." "It's just a precaution. Cole at my office helped me draw it up. He says it's standard stuff. Cole Farrell." Now there was a name that made my teeth itch. Emily's firm's golden boy attorney, all flash and no substance. The kind of guy who wore $1,000 suits and drove a BMW he couldn't afford. I'd met him at the office Christmas party, where he'd spent the evening talking about his investment strategies and checking his Rolex every 5 minutes. "Since when do you take legal advice from Cole?" I asked. Emily's cheeks flushed pink. "He's just being helpful. He knows about these things." I pretended to read the papers while watching her fidget. She kept glancing at her phone, then at the clock above the stove, like she was expecting something. "I'll look these over later," I said, folding the documents and slipping them into my jacket pocket. "Danny, no." The sharpness in her voice surprised us both. She caught herself, forcing that smile back into place. "I mean, it's better to get these things done right away. You never know what might happen." "What's the rush?" "There's no rush. Cole said it's better to file them sooner rather than later." Cole said. Everything was what Cole said these days. I'd noticed Emily mentioning him more and more over the past few months. Cole thinks this, Cole says that. Cole, Cole, Cole. "I'll read them tonight," I said firmly. Emily's face went through several expressions before settling on disappointed resignation. "Fine. But don't wait too long, okay?" After she left for work, I sat in my truck outside Pete's auto shop. Pete Morrison had been my best friend since high school, an ex-cop turned mechanic who could spot bullshit from orbit. "A power of attorney?" Pete looked up from the engine he was rebuilding, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. "You're not that old, buddy." "What's Emily's angle?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." Pete read through the papers, his expression growing darker with each page. "Dan, this isn't standard anything. This gives Emily complete control over everything you own. Your house, your retirement accounts, even medical decisions." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, if you sign this, Emily could sell your house tomorrow and you couldn't stop her. She could empty your bank accounts, make decisions about your medical care, even commit you to a facility if she wanted to." The words hit me like a sledgehammer. "That can't be legal." "It is if you sign it voluntarily." Pete's cop instincts were kicking in. "Dan, you need to talk to a lawyer. Today." I spent the afternoon in the office of Margaret Carter, a sharp-eyed attorney who specialized in elder law. She read through Emily's papers with the same expression Pete had worn. "Mr. Rourke, this document is extremely broad," she said. "It essentially makes your wife your legal guardian, with power to make any decision she deems necessary for your welfare. And if I don't sign it? Then you maintain control of your own life." She leaned back in her chair. "Has your wife given you any reason to believe you need this level of oversight?" I thought about Emily's recent behavior, the sudden concern about my health, the way she'd been pushing me to take it easy, the mysterious phone calls that stopped when I entered the room. "Can you do me a favor?" I asked. "Can you look into my financial accounts? See if anyone's been trying to access them." Missu, Carter made some calls. What she found made my blood run cold. "Someone has been making inquiries about your accounts," she said, "asking about procedures for power of attorney transfers, withdrawal limits, that sort of thing." I drove home through the gathering dusk, my mind racing. Emily's car was already in the driveway, but the house was dark except for the light in our bedroom. I could hear her voice through the window talking on the phone. I crept closer, staying in the shadows of the oak tree by our bedroom window. "He'll sign tomorrow, trust me," Emily was saying. "I've been working on him for weeks. Once it's filed, we can move forward with everything." My heart hammered against my ribs. "No, he doesn't suspect anything," she continued. "He thinks I'm just being a caring wife." God, if he only knew. A man's voice responded, too quiet for me to make out the words. "Cole, relax. By next week, it'll all be ours. The house, the retirement money, everything. And if he gives us any trouble, we'll just say he's having mental health issues. Who's going to believe a confused old man over his loving wife and her attorney?" The laughter that followed was like ice water in my veins. I backed away from the window, my hands shaking. 18 years of marriage, and this was what it came to. Emily and Cole, plotting to steal everything I'd worked for, maybe even have me declared incompetent. Well, I had news for them. This confused old man was about to get very unconfused, very quickly. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I lay in bed listening to Emily breathe beside me, planning my next moves. She had no idea I'd overheard her conversation with Cole, and I intended to keep it that way. The next morning, Emily was all smiles again, asking about the power of attorney papers over breakfast. "Did you have a chance to look them over, honey?" "Still reading through all the legal stuff," I said, buttering my toast with deliberate slowness. "Pretty complicated." "Cole could explain anything you don't understand." "I'll bet he could." "That's okay. I want to make sure I understand it myself first." Emily's smile tightened, but she didn't push. After she left for work, I got busy. My first stop was the bank. I'd been doing business with First National for over 20 years, and the manager, Susan Walsh, knew me well. "Dan, good to see you," she said, ushering me into her office. "What can I do for you?" "I need to put some security measures on my accounts," I said. "I'm concerned someone might try to access them fraudulently." Susan's expression grew serious. "Has something happened?" I told her about the power of attorney situation, leaving out the personal details. Susan listened carefully, taking notes. "We can definitely add additional security flags," she said. "Any attempt to make major transactions or changes will require your personal authorization, with photo ID and verbal confirmation of a security code only you know." "Has anyone been asking questions about my accounts recently?" Susan checked her computer. "Actually, yes. Your wife called yesterday asking about our power of attorney procedures, and we had an attorney call last week asking about withdrawal limits and transfer processes. A Mr. Farrell." My jaw clenched. They were already laying the groundwork. "From now on, no information goes out about my accounts to anyone but me," I said. "I don't care if they claim to be my wife, my lawyer, or the Pope." Next, I visited Miss Carter again. She'd been busy since our last meeting. "I did some research on Mr. Farrell," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "Interesting reading." Cole's financial picture was uglier than I'd expected. Credit card debt, a mortgage he could barely afford, and a gambling problem that had cost him his previous job. He was desperate for money, which explained his interest in my retirement accounts. "There's more," Ms. Carter said. "I have a contact at the State Bar Association. Mr. Farrell has been the subject of several ethics complaints. Nothing proven, but a pattern of questionable behavior with clients' finances. What are my options?" "Well, first, obviously don't sign that power of attorney. Second, I can prepare a revocation document that makes it clear you've never authorized anyone to act on your behalf. Third, if they're planning to claim you're mentally incompetent, we should get documentation of your mental state from a qualified physician." I spent the rest of the day getting a complete physical and psychological evaluation from my doctor. Doctor Martinez had been treating me for years and was happy to provide written confirmation that I was in excellent mental and physical health. Your blood pressure's actually better than it was last year, he said. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. If only he knew. That evening, Emily asked again about the papers. I'm still thinking about it, I said. Danny, you're overthinking this. It's just a safety net. Safety net for who? Her eyes flashed with irritation before she caught herself. For both of us. For our future. Our future. Right. Over the next few days, I watched Emily carefully. She was definitely up to something. Phone calls that stopped when I entered the room. Hushed conversations that ended abruptly. She'd even started working late, claiming Cole needed help with a big case. I'll bet he needed help with something. On Thursday, I decided to do a little reconnaissance. Emily's law firm was in a downtown office building, and the parking garage gave me a good view of the entrance. I positioned myself where I could see the exit and waited. At 6:30, Emily emerged with Cole. They didn't look like colleagues discussing a case. Cole had his hand on the small of her back, guiding her toward his BMW. Emily was laughing at something he'd said, her body language relaxed and intimate. They drove to Chez Laurent, an expensive French restaurant across town. I followed at a distance, parking where I could see their table through the window. They were deep in conversation, Cole leaning across the table, Emily hanging on his every word. I'd seen enough. The next morning, I called in a favor from Pete's cousin Jimmy, who ran a private investigation service. Jimmy was discreet and thorough, exactly what I needed. I need surveillance on my wife, I told him. Photos, documentation of where she goes, who she sees. Jimmy didn't ask questions. In his line of work, he'd seen it all before. How long you want me on her? Until I tell you to stop. That weekend, Emily suggested we have dinner with her friends Monica and Sasha. I agreed, curious to see what they knew about Emily's plans. We met at Olive Garden, and I quickly realized I was the entertainment. Monica and Sasha kept exchanging meaningful looks, like they were in on some private joke. So Dan, Monica said over her salad, Emily tells us you're thinking about taking things easier now that you're semi-retired. I'm only 48, I said. Hardly ready for the rocking chair. Oh, but it's so smart to plan ahead, Sasha chimed in. Make sure all your affairs are in order, you know? Emily shot her a warning look, but Sasha was already tipsy and didn't catch it. I mean, you never know what might happen, Sasha continued. It's good to have someone you trust handling things if you can't. Someone like Emily, Monica added helpfully. I smiled and nodded, playing the clueless husband while filing away every word. They knew. Emily had told them about the power of attorney, probably painted it as her being responsible and forward-thinking. After dinner, I excused myself to use the restroom and overheard Monica talking to Emily by the bar. Are you sure he's going to sign? Monica was asking. He will, Emily said confidently. I just need to be patient. Once it's done, Cole and I can finally move forward with our plans. What about the house? We'll sell it? Cole found a buyer who's very interested. Cash deal, quick closing. My house. They were already planning to sell my house. I returned to the table with a smile plastered on my face. But inside, I was seething. Emily wasn't just planning to steal from me. She was planning to erase me entirely. That night, after Emily fell asleep, I went down to my home office and started making my own plans. If Emily and Cole wanted to play games, I'd show them how it was done. I pulled out a legal pad and started writing. By morning, I had a comprehensive strategy that would turn their scheme inside out. They thought they were dealing with a confused old man who'd sign whatever they put in front of him. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Monday morning, I put my plan into action. While Emily was getting ready for work, I made a phone call to a security company. I need a home security system installed today, I told them. Cameras, motion sensors, the works. That's pretty short notice, sir. I'll pay double for emergency installation. Money talks. By noon, I had cameras covering every entrance to my house, motion sensors in the main rooms, and a digital recording system that would capture everything. I made sure the cameras were visible. I wanted Emily and Cole to know they were being watched. When Emily came home that evening, she noticed immediately. "What's all this?" she asked, staring at the camera mounted above our front door. "Security system," I said casually. "After that break-in on Maple Street, I figured we should protect ourselves." "Don't you think you should have discussed this with me first?" "I'm discussing it with you now." Emily walked through the house, cataloging each camera with growing agitation. "This seems like overkill, Danny. We live in a safe neighborhood. Better safe than sorry." That night, I heard Emily on the phone again, but this time I had her conversation recorded. "He installed cameras everywhere," she was telling Cole. "I think he's getting paranoid." Cole's response was muffled, but Emily's reply was crystal clear. "No, we can't wait much longer. My friend at the courthouse says the judge is going on vacation next week. If we're going to file the competency petition, it has to be soon." Competency petition. My blood ran cold. They weren't just planning to steal my money. They were planning to have me declared mentally incompetent. "The cameras complicate things," Emily continued. "We'll have to be more careful about meeting at the house." I smiled grimly. The cameras were already paying dividends. The next day, I visited Miss Carter again and shared the recording. "This is very serious," she said after listening. "They're planning to challenge your mental competency. That's a legal proceeding that could result in you losing all control over your finances and personal decisions. Can they do that? If they can convince a judge you're not capable of managing your own affairs, yes. They'd need medical testimony, evidence of impaired judgment, things like that. But I just had a complete physical and psychological evaluation. Which is why we're going to be proactive." Miss Carter leaned forward. "I'm going to prepare a comprehensive legal package documenting your mental competency, along with evidence of their scheme. We're also going to file for a restraining order. Against Emily? Against both of them. For elder abuse and attempted fraud." The thought of Emily being served with a restraining order made me smile for the first time in weeks. That afternoon, Jimmy called with his first report. "Your wife's been busy," he said. 3 meetings with Farrell this week, none of them at the law office. Hotel bars, coffee shops, even his apartment yesterday afternoon." "His apartment?" "Yeah, she was there for 2 hours. Want to see the photos?" I did and didn't. The photos Jimmy showed me confirmed what I already knew, but didn't want to believe. Emily and Cole, holding hands across a restaurant table. Emily and Cole, kissing in the parking lot of a hotel. Emily entering Cole's apartment building, leaving 2 hours later looking disheveled. 18 years of marriage. And this was how it ended. "There's more," Jimmy said. "I did some digging on Farrell. Guy's in deep financial trouble. Owes money to some very unpleasant people." "How unpleasant?" "The kind who break legs when payments are late." So that was it. Cole needed money fast, and my retirement accounts looked like his salvation. Emily was his ticket to my assets. Wednesday evening, Emily tried a different approach. "Danny, I'm worried about you," she said over dinner. "You seem stressed lately. Maybe you should talk to someone." "Someone like who?" "A counselor. Or a doctor, just to make sure you're okay." I almost laughed. She was trying to establish a record of mental health concerns, building her case for the competency hearing. "I feel fine," I said. "But the security cameras, the paranoia about the power of attorney papers, it's not like you. Maybe I'm just being careful. Or maybe you're not thinking clearly." There it was, the seed she wanted to plant. Danny's not thinking clearly. Danny's becoming paranoid. Danny needs someone to make decisions for him. "I'll think about it," I said. Thursday night, my security cameras captured something interesting. Emily let herself into the house at 11 p.m., followed by Cole. They went straight to my home office and started going through my files. I watched from the basement, where I'd set up a monitoring station, as they photographed financial documents and searched through my desk drawers. Cole was taking pictures with his phone while Emily acted as lookout. "Find anything useful?" Emily whispered. "Bank statements, investment accounts, insurance policies," Cole replied. This guy's worth more than we thought. How much more? Try 7 figures. Between the retirement accounts, the house equity, and his life insurance, we're looking at serious money. Emily's eyes lit up. Enough to pay off your debts? Enough to pay off my debts and set us up for life. They spent another hour going through my papers before leaving. I had it all on video. Breaking and entering, theft of personal information, conspiracy to commit fraud. Ms. Carter was going to love this. Friday morning, I made my move. While Emily was at work, I went to the courthouse and filed the restraining order paperwork. Miss Carter had prepared everything perfectly. Documentation of Emily and Cole's scheme, evidence of their plan to have me declared incompetent, photos from Jimmy's surveillance, and the security camera footage of them going through my files. The judge reviewed everything and signed the order immediately. This is clearly a case of attempted elder abuse and fraud, he said. The restraining order will be served this afternoon. I also visited my bank and had them freeze all joint accounts pending resolution of the fraud investigation. Emily would find her access cut off immediately. At 3 p.m., I got the call I'd been waiting for. Restraining order has been served, Ms. Carter informed me. Both subjects have been notified they're prohibited from contacting you or entering your property. How did they take it? About as well as you'd expect. Mrs. Rourke became quite agitated and demanded to know who was behind this. Mr. Farrell tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding. I smiled. The game was just beginning. That evening, my phone rang constantly, Emily calling from different numbers, trying to reach me. I didn't answer. The restraining order was clear. No contact meant no contact. Around 9 p.m., I saw Emily's car pull up outside. She sat there for 20 minutes, probably trying to figure out how to get into her own house without violating the restraining order. Finally, she drove away. I poured myself a bourbon and settled into my recliner. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was in control. Emily and Cole had thought they were playing chess while I was playing checkers. They were about to discover I'd been playing chess all along, and I was several moves ahead. Saturday morning brought the first real sign that my counterattack was working. Monica called, ostensibly to check on me, but really to fish for information. Dan, Emily's been trying to reach you, she said. She's very upset about some kind of legal misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I replied. Just protecting myself from fraud. Fraud? Dan, that's a serious accusation. It's a serious crime. I could hear Monica's wheels turning. Emily had probably spun her some story about a crazy husband making false accusations, but the word fraud carried weight. Is there anything I can do to help? Monica asked. You can tell Emily that all communication goes through my attorney now. After I hung up, I realized Emily's support network was about to crumble. Her friends had signed up to support a victim, not an accomplice. Jimmy called with more updates from his surveillance. Farrell's in panic mode, he reported. Spent yesterday afternoon at his bookie's place, probably trying to explain why he can't pay up. Your wife's been staying at the Marriott downtown since Thursday night. The Marriott? Yeah, separate rooms though. Guess the romance is taking a back seat to damage control. Sunday afternoon, I got an unexpected visitor. Alex, my son from my first marriage, showed up at the front door with a concerned expression. Dad, what's going on? Emily called me crying, saying you'd gone crazy and filed some kind of restraining order against her. Alex was 25, a software engineer with a good head on his shoulders. He'd never been particularly close to Emily, but he'd been polite for my sake. Come in, son. We need to talk. I showed Alex everything. The power of attorney documents, the surveillance photos, the security camera footage of Emily and Cole going through my files. I played him the recorded phone conversations where Emily discussed selling the house and having me declared incompetent. Alex's expression grew darker with each revelation. Jesus, Dad. She was really going to do all this? She was going to steal everything I've worked for and have me locked up in a care facility. What about Cole? How long has this been going on? Based on the surveillance, at least 3 months. Probably longer. Alex shook his head in disgust. I never liked that guy. Too slick, you know? And Emily, I always thought she was just materialistic, but this is criminal. The police are investigating. The restraining order is just the beginning. What can I do to help? Having Alex's support meant everything to me. Just be there if I need you. This is going to get uglier before it's over. Monday morning brought the next phase of Emily's downfall. Ms. Carter called with an update. I spoke with the managing partner at Emily's law firm, she said. They're conducting an internal investigation into her and Mr. Farrell's conduct. Using firm resources for personal matters is a serious ethics violation. What kind of consequences are we talking about? For Emily, probably termination. For Mr. Farrell, possible disbarment proceedings. I felt a grim satisfaction. Emily's career was built on her reputation for discretion and trustworthiness. Once word got out about her scheme, she'd be unemployable in the legal field. Tuesday afternoon, Jimmy called with interesting news. Your wife just got fired, he said. Saw her leaving the law office with a security guard and a cardboard box. Farrell was escorted out right behind her. Both of them? Yep, looks like the firm decided to cut their losses. That evening, I got a call from Pete. Dan, you need to be careful, he said. Word's getting around town about Emily and that lawyer. People are talking. What kind of talk? The kind that ruins reputations. Monica's been telling everyone who'll listen that Emily's a victim, but Sasha's singing a different tune. Says she always knew something was fishy about Emily's sudden interest in your finances. Small towns were like that. Gossip spread faster than wildfire, and reputations could be destroyed overnight. Emily was learning that lesson the hard way. Wednesday brought an unexpected development. I was working in my garage when a black Escalade pulled into my driveway. Two men in expensive suits got out and approached me. You Dan Rourke? The larger one asked. Depends who's asking. We're associates of Mr. Farrell. He owes some people money, and we heard you might be able to help with that. I set down my wrench and looked them over. Muscle for hire, probably from whatever loan sharks Cole had been dealing with. I don't know anything about Cole's debts, I said. See, that's where you're wrong, the smaller man said. Farrell told our boss that he had a deal in the works. Something about a power of attorney and a big payday. Now that deal's gone south and our boss wants his money. Sounds like Cole's problem, not mine. Could become your problem real quick. I smiled and pointed to the security camera mounted above my garage door. You gentlemen are being recorded. I'd suggest you leave before I call the police. They exchanged glances, realizing they'd walked into a situation they weren't prepared for. This ain't over, the big one said as they headed back to their car. Yes, it is, I replied. After they left, I called Jimmy and gave him their license plate number. Within an hour, I had their names and the identity of their boss, a loan shark named Vincent Torino who operated out of Atlantic City. I placed a call to Torino's office. Mr. Torino, this is Dan Rourke. I believe you have a problem with Cole Farrell. You could say that. He owes me $200,000 and payments overdue. Well, I have some information that might interest you. Mr. Farrell has been disbarred and is currently under investigation for fraud. He's also broke. There was silence on the other end. You sure about this? Completely sure. I'd suggest you focus your collection efforts on what assets he actually has, rather than chasing fantasies about money that was never his to begin with. Appreciate the heads up, Mr. Rourke. I hung up with a smile. Cole's troubles were just beginning. Thursday evening, my security cameras picked up Emily's car driving slowly past the house. She didn't stop. The restraining order prevented that. But I could see her staring at the house through her windshield. She was probably wondering how everything had gone so wrong so quickly. A month ago, she'd thought she was weeks away from controlling my entire fortune. Now she was unemployed, facing criminal charges, and watching her boyfriend get squeezed by loan sharks. Friday brought the call I'd been expecting. Dan, it's Margaret Carter. The district attorney's office wants to meet with you. They're considering filing criminal charges against Emily and Mr. Farrell. What kind of charges? Attempted fraud, elder abuse, conspiracy, breaking, and entering. The security camera footage of them going through your files was particularly damaging. When do they want to meet? Monday morning. This is moving faster than I expected. As I hung up, I realized we'd reached the endgame. Emily and Cole's scheme had collapsed completely, and now they were facing the legal consequences of their actions. But I wasn't done with them yet. They'd tried to steal my life, destroy my independence, and have me locked away like a confused old man. The legal system would punish them, but I had my own form of justice in mind. It was time for the final act. Monday's meeting with the district attorney went better than I'd hoped. Ada Sarah Chen was a sharp, no-nonsense prosecutor who'd seen her share of elder abuse cases. "Mr. Rourke, the evidence you've provided is extremely compelling," she said, reviewing the files Ms. Carter had prepared. "The recorded conversations alone are enough for conspiracy charges. What about the breaking and entering? Your security footage clearly shows them unlawfully entering your home and going through your personal documents. That's burglary in the second degree. How long before charges are filed? We'll have arrest warrants by Wednesday. I want to move quickly before they have a chance to flee or destroy evidence." As I left the courthouse, I felt a mixture of satisfaction and anticipation. The legal machinery was in motion, but I had my own plans for Emily and Cole. Tuesday afternoon, Jimmy called with an update on Cole's situation. "Torino's boys found him," he reported. "Worked him over pretty good in the parking lot behind his apartment. Nothing permanent, but he got the message." "Is he still in town?" "For now. But word is, he's looking to run. Problem is, he's got no money and nowhere to go." "What about Emily?" "Still at the Marriott, but she's behind on the bill. Front desk manager's a buddy of mine. Says she's been trying to pay with credit cards that keep getting declined." Emily's world was collapsing faster than I'd anticipated. No job, no money, no home, and criminal charges pending. It was almost enough to make me feel sorry for her. Wednesday morning, I was working in my garage when I heard sirens in the distance. 20 minutes later, Jimmy called. "They just arrested Farrell," he said. "Picked him up at his apartment. Your wife's next. They're heading to the hotel now." I drove downtown and positioned myself across the street from the Marriott. At 11:30 a.m., I watched two police officers escort Emily out of the hotel in handcuffs. She looked haggard, her usually perfect appearance disheveled and unkempt. As they put her in the patrol car, Emily looked directly at me. Even from across the street, I could see the hatred in her eyes. She knew I was responsible for her downfall, and she wasn't going quietly. That afternoon, Miss Carter called with news. "Both subjects have been arraigned," she said. "Bail was set at $50,000 each." "Will they make bail?" "Unlikely. Neither has the resources, and given the flight risk, I doubt they'll find a bondsman willing to take the chance." "So they're staying in jail?" "For now. The trial's scheduled for next month." I should have felt vindicated, but something was nagging at me. Emily was desperate, and desperate people did unpredictable things. The restraining order and criminal charges would only hold her back for so long. My instincts proved correct Thursday evening. I was watching TV when my security system alerted me to motion in the backyard. The cameras showed a figure in dark clothing trying to jimmy open the back door. I grabbed my phone and called 911, then settled in to watch the show. The intruder. I was pretty sure it was Cole, though the darkness made it hard to tell. Spent 20 minutes trying different windows and doors before giving up. The police arrived just as he was leaving through the back gate. I heard shouting, then silence. Officer Martinez, who'd responded to the call, knocked on my front door 15 minutes later. "Mr. Rourke, we caught someone trying to break into your house," he said. "Cole Farrell. Looks like he made bail this afternoon." "I thought he didn't have any money." "Someone posted it for him." "We're trying to figure out who." I had a pretty good idea. Emily still had friends, and one of them had probably been convinced to help. It didn't matter. Cole had just violated his bail conditions and would be going back to jail. "What was he trying to do?" I asked. "Hard to say. He had a crowbar and what looks like lockpicking tools. Could have been planning to steal something, or maybe looking for evidence to use in his defense." After the police left, I reviewed the security footage more carefully. Cole had been methodical, trying every possible entry point. He wasn't just looking to grab something valuable and run. He was trying to get into my house for a specific purpose. Friday morning brought disturbing news from Jimmy. "Emily made bail too," he reported. "Same mysterious benefactor, looks like." "Where is she now?" "That's the problem. I lost her. She's not at any of her usual places, and her car's nowhere to be found. A chill ran down my spine. Emily was out there somewhere, probably planning her next move. The restraining order was just a piece of paper, and she'd already proven she was willing to break the law. I spent the weekend on high alert, checking my security cameras constantly and sleeping with my phone within reach. But Emily didn't show up. Monday morning, I got my answer about what she'd been planning. I was having coffee when someone knocked on my front door. Through the peephole, I saw a woman I didn't recognize, middle-aged, professional-looking, carrying a briefcase. "Mr. Rourke? I'm Dr. Patricia Hoffman from Adult Protective Services. I need to speak with you about some concerns that have been raised about your welfare." My blood went cold. Emily was making her final play. "What kind of concerns?" "We've received reports that you may be suffering from paranoid delusions and exhibiting erratic behavior. The caller was very worried about your mental state." "Let me guess, my wife called you." "Dr. Haas?" Hoffman consulted her notes. The caller identified herself as Emily Rourke. "Yes." She provided quite a bit of detail about your recent behavior. I invited Dr. Hoffman inside and explained the situation. I showed her the power of attorney documents, the surveillance evidence, and the criminal charges pending against Emily and Cole. "So your wife is currently facing fraud charges?" Dr. Hoffman asked. "Among other things, she and her boyfriend tried to steal my life savings and have me declared incompetent." Dr. Hoffman made extensive notes as I walked her through the entire scheme. When I finished, she closed her briefcase and stood up. "Mr. Rourke, I've seen a lot of elder abuse cases, but this is one of the most calculated I've encountered. You're clearly competent and have taken appropriate steps to protect yourself. What happens now? I'll be filing a report that finds no evidence of mental impairment or need for protective services. I'll also be noting that the complaint appears to have been filed maliciously by someone facing criminal charges." After Dr. Hoffman left, I sat in my kitchen and laughed until my sides hurt. Emily's last desperate gambit had backfired spectacularly. Instead of getting me declared incompetent, she'd provided additional evidence of her own criminal intent. But I knew this wasn't over. Emily was still out there, still free on bail and running out of options. When people like Emily got cornered, they got dangerous. I was about to find out just how dangerous. Tuesday's storm brought the one I'd expected from Emily too. My cameras caught her parking at the curb, then using an old spare key to enter, violating bail and a restraining order. While I stayed in the basement and called 911, she wandered room to room, begging the empty house and claiming Cole had forced her, then started hunting my files for a power of attorney. Cole burst in through the front, demanded leverage, and they tore the place apart until sirens closed in. They fled out back, got boxed at the fence, and were arrested. He'd pocketed a folder from my first divorce, sealed records with false abuse claims. Then his friends started a whisper campaign. By week's end, clerks stared, neighbors murmured. I booked the community center, laid out the recordings, camera footage, and paper trail. The room flipped from rumor to support. Prosecutors moved the case up. In court, the tapes of Emily and Cole pricing my assets and plotting to have me declared incompetent crushed their defenses. After 2 hours of deliberation, both were convicted. Emily got 5 years, Cole 7, and restitution. Outside, in clear afternoon light, the weight finally lifted. I told Pete what I knew was true. I'm done with their lies. Time to live the real life they tried to steal. The end, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.